Okay, every day after election day, people have been saying that this election is full of fraud. Here are 4 claims of election fraud that were presented to me that I looked into, and I'm going to present to you my findings. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Nate the Lawyer, and welcome to the Brody's Bunch, where you are the jury of today's content. Now, as you know, what we always do, we look at the facts, we look at the law, and we let you make the decision on what the outcome is going to be. So I've been hearing a lot about election fraud. Now, in my last live stream with Viva and Uncivil Law right here, people were claiming there was evidence of voter fraud. Now, they were throwing out a lot of claims, and I was pretty dismissive of those claims, but I wanted to look at them critically. These people have taken the time to super chat me claims that were being made, and I felt an obligation to take them seriously enough to at least go the next step and look into them. So today, we're going to take the 4 claims that were told to me, and we're going to look at the claims, we're going to look at the evidence, and you are going to decide whether they're evidence for voter fraud or not. Now, before we get into all this stuff, if you're new here, don't forget, like, share, and subscribe to this channel if you like what you hear. So let's start with the law. Generally, to overturn an election, you need 2 things. The first thing you need to show is some irregularity that disenfranchises voters. This could be anything from voter fraud to a computer error, etc. Right? Now, if you're able to show these irregularities that disenfranchise voters in some way, you then have to show that that irregularity would have changed the outcome of the election, right? Because if you have 1 vote that was fraudulent, but the person won by 1 million votes, then yeah, you prosecute that 1 instance of voter fraud, but you don't overturn an election for 1 vote. Now, that's something you have to keep in mind as we go through these allegations. Now, obviously, I can't look at every allegation that's being made. I can only go with the allegations that I've looked into and that were presented to me at the making of this video. There may be more that come after this, but these are the ones that I've been presented with and people are saying are knockdown examples of voter fraud. So these are the 4 claims that we're going to look into. The first one you may have heard about, SharpieGate. Now, people are still talking about SharpieGate even today. The second one is a claim that Wisconsin had more votes than voters. The next claim is from Georgia, where there is someone who was actually inside the voting room who claims that votes came in after the deadline and were still counted. And our last claim is that 14,000 dead people voted in Wayne County, Michigan. So those are the 4 claims that we're going to look into just to see if they have any legs. And again, you are going to decide the outcome. So let's start with claim 1, SharpieGate. What is SharpieGate? Even my friend Robert Barnes talks about it.
So you have some that have already been filed on behalf of voters in Arizona on the SharpieGate issue, in terms of that aspect.
See, what Robert is talking about is a lawsuit filed by Lori Aguilera. Here are the claims.
Still, voter Lori Aguilera filed suit against County Recorder Adrian Fontes and the Board of Supervisors, claiming after she used a Sharpie to vote, the ballot box did not register her vote and her ballot was canceled.
So here in Arizona, one of the biggest issues that we have right now is the use of a Sharpie pen that was used at the different polling places. On the Democrats' own website here in Arizona, they actually say do not use red ink or permanent marker because this may result in a false read by the ballot machines. So that comes from their own website. So when we showed up to polling stations, they only gave us Sharpie markers. I specifically said, I don't want to use a Sharpie marker. Do you have a regular pen? She said, no, I only have a Sharpie marker. Use it. You're going to be fine. I said, what if it bleeds through to the other side? She said, don't worry about it. We've been doing it all day. It's not a big deal.
Now, it was claimed that this was done only to Trump voters in an organized attempt to suppress Trump's votes. So now we're clear on the claims. Sharpies make votes invalid. Voting machines can't read Sharpies. And Trump voters were given Sharpies so their votes wouldn't count. Now, mind you, this was all over Twitter, SharpieGate. Robert Barnes is even talking about it. First, let's look at some of the evidence. Here's a video from Maricopa County dated October 24th, 2020. It's put up here on YouTube. So this is about 2 weeks before Election Day. And lo and behold, this video is about whether you can use Sharpies to vote in Maricopa County.
Hey everyone, fill the ballot here.
Did you know you can use a black or blue pen or Sharpie to fill out your ballot in Maricopa County? The new tabulation equipment only reads the ovals, so bleed-throughs are not a problem. The new ballot style also has off-centered columns that don't allow for bleed-throughs to fill out ovals on the other side of the ballot. At the vote center, you may notice fine-tip Sharpies are used. That's because it's the fastest drying ink and works best on the tabulation equipment. If you're filling out your ballot at home, you can use blue or black ink with ballpoint pen or Sharpie. Just don't use red ink. The tabulation equipment cannot read red.
Learn more at BeBallotReady.vote. See you there.
Now remember, this was before Election Day. Here is a statement from officials at Maricopa County about Sharpies.
According to the Maricopa County Board of Elections, quote, Sharpie markers are recommended by the manufacturer of Maricopa County's vote tabulation machines as the preferred way to mark ballots for use in those machines. State Secretary Katie Hobbs also weighed in on the controversy prior to the hearing, both on Twitter and in a Thursday morning interview with Fox 10.
Unequivocally, if you marked your ballot with a Sharpie and filled it in, it is being counted.
Unequivocally, yes.
Okay.
So the judge dismissed the case. And for those of you who are unsure about Michigan, I think uses the same machines. So Sharpies are actually preferred in Michigan too. It's preferred method of voting in Michigan. See, Sharpies are preferred in Michigan. So SharpieGate. Now you've seen the facts. Is SharpieGate evidence for fraud or not? So now let's move on to our second claim. In Wisconsin, there were more votes than registered voters. So essentially, there were more votes than voters. Mike Caudry on Twitter puts out breaking news. Wisconsin has more votes than people who are registered to vote. The total number of registered voters, 3,129,000. The total number of votes, 3,200,039. This is direct evidence of fraud. So here is Mike, who is a Trump supporter, followed by a lot of the same people I follow, Brandon Tatum, Robert Barnes, etc. And he's the one who put out this claim, getting thousands of likes and thousands of shares. Here it is again, Amari King. So now you know the claim, but is it true? Is it evidence for voter fraud? Let's look at the evidence. Now, this is something I think it's easy for us to fact check, right? This isn't something that's going to be difficult for us to fact check, right? Because we can just look up the numbers, how many people are registered to vote in Wisconsin, and then how many people actually voted in the presidential election. You take those two numbers, and if there are more votes than registered voters, we got a problem. Let's look at it. So here is the vote count for the presidential election in Wisconsin. When you add up all the numbers, it comes out to 3,289,474 votes cast, with 99% of the precincts reporting. So now let's compare this number with what we see from the active registered voters list. That's before Election Day. So the state of Wisconsin's Election Commission, the official site, says as of November 1st, 2020, 2 days before Election Day, it had exactly 3,684,726 active registered voters 2 days before Election Day. Now, you have to also understand, Wisconsin has same-day registration, so you can walk in the same day, register, and vote all at once. So here are the numbers. 3.6 million registered voters before Election Day, 3.2 million votes on Election Day. Evidence for fraud? It's your call. Claim number 3. So this claim comes from Georgia. So here are the facts. Republican poll watchers in Chatham County, Georgia, reported seeing a stack of late ballots that, quote, may have arrived after 7 p.m. on Election Day, the deadline to get valid ballots in. So this challenge was to disqualify those late arriving ballots. So Superior Court Judge James F. Bass, pictured here, in Chatham County, rejected the lawsuit. He held a hearing and heard from Cali officials, and this is what he had to say. Having read and considered the said petition, all arguments and evidence of record, including the evidence presented at the hearing and all applicable law, the court finds that there is no evidence that the ballots referenced in the petition were received after 7 p.m. Additionally, there is no evidence that the County Board of Elections or the County Board of Registrars failed to comply with the law. Now, this ruling was very similar to rulings in Arizona, Pennsylvania, Michigan that found similar outcomes in those cases also. No evidence of voter fraud. Again, those are just the facts. You check them out. And then at the end of the day, how many votes were we talking about? 53 votes. And as of right now, Joe Biden is winning Georgia by over 10,000 votes. All right, the last claim of the day. 14,000 dead people in Wayne County, Michigan voted. So this claim seems to have originated from a post on Facebook from the Liberalist. Now, they claim that there are 14,000 dead people who voted in Wayne County, and he gives a couple of links and says, hey, check out this name and, try it out for yourself. So 14,000 dead voters voted in Wayne County, Michigan? We had to test that claim. You check out the list, right? But there's a problem. There are people on the list who are still alive. Now, I didn't check all 14,000, but as soon as I find people on the list alive, then the list itself has a problem. And again, this is from a Facebook post. So I'm not too sure how much checking this person did, but I'm not going to check 14,000 names. So let me just be blunt. There are individuals on that list that are alive. There are some that aren't living in Michigan, and there are some where the birth dates are wrong. But that's not a list of 14,000 dead people. You want examples? Here are some. Claudia Miller, actually an eligible voter who cast her ballot, but it had the incorrect date. She was on the list. She's alive. Emu Oliver, an elderly woman. She's still alive. She's on the list. Now, is this evidence of voter fraud that would overturn the election? Right? Someone says 14,000 people voted. We look at the list. We find 3 people quickly that are alive. So now, without the evidence of people who actually are alive that are still on the list, let's say this claim is actually true. Let's assume this claim is true just for the sake of this video. Well, Joe Biden won Michigan by over 100,000 votes. So even if all 14,000 votes are illegitimate and all 14,000 went to Joe Biden, if you remove it, then the election doesn't change. But those people, if this is true, should be prosecuted. Whoever did this should be prosecuted. But did it happen at all? I don't know. That choice is for you to decide. Is this evidence of voter fraud? You tell me. So at the end of the day, is there evidence for voter fraud? I don't know. Let me know in the comment section if there are other claims that have been substantiated that convince you that there's voter fraud. But as of right now, here's what I got. What do you think? Leave your comments below. Let me know how you came out. My name is Nate, lawyer, YouTuber, and I'll see you next video. Peace.
Hey everyone, Phil the Ballot here.